Hi, everybody. Welcome to our extended disc 15-minute webinar. And today is part of our kind of summer going into fall, which is exciting, on our sales capacity assessment suite. So for those of you that have been following along, we've been highlighting different types of reports. And this week, we will be specifically focusing on the sales process and competency report. My name is Christina Bowser, and I'm the training director here at Extended Disc. And joining me today is my colleague, Markku Kauppanen, president of Extended Disc. Hi, Markku.
Hi, Christina. Hello, everybody.
I think I'll remember, we are recording it. And so if you missed any of it, or you want to go back and review it or share it with anybody, it will be on our YouTube channel. Just look for Extended Disc North America. Questions and answers, we love them. Unfortunately, with 15 minutes, we usually don't get to them live, but go ahead and put them in the Q&A section, and we will follow up with you after the session. So, Markku, this is it's a lot of learning for me. I actually enjoyed this report from just a new eyes perspective. So let's talk a little bit about this specific report. But before we do, let's just take a moment and talk about what is the Sales Capacity Assessment Suite, SCA, which I'm going to say from here on out.
SCA, there you go. So again, it's not based on DISC assessment, so it has its own unique questionnaire, and it's specifically designed for sales professionals who really want to become more successful. And it's also designed for sales managers, sales coaches, because it can be used as a hiring tool, as a team tool, really elevate the sales performance of the team. But it's still on the same things platform. So if you're using extended DISC assessments or this capacity assessments in selling, you are able to have access to all of those in one place. And there's, and we talked about it in one of the other webinars, there's something called a Sales 18 assessment that is based on DISC, and it seamlessly combines with the capacity assessment. So you can really understand not only what the competencies and many other things that we measure with the capacity are, but how it connects with the salesperson hardwired behavioral style. But just like with our DISC assessments, the participant only needs to complete the questionnaire one time, and you are able to generate all of the different types of individual and team reports. And of course, the good news is you only pay per person, not per report. And you're able to do all of those individual and team reports, again, from that one questionnaire. And the idea is that the results are very intuitive. So our clients are not focusing on how to interpret the results, but rather how to use this information to become more successful as salespeople, as a sales team, and as a sales organization.
What I like about this specific report that I'm going to have Markku talk about, the Sales Process and Competence Report, is that it not only just gives you that overview into what this specific sales process talks about, but then it gives that wonderful summary that we see in a lot of the SCA reports, as well as a breakdown for each specific step in the sales process. So this in itself is kind of the introductory page, right? It talks about the sales process, the pre and post steps. Can you talk a little bit about that, Markku?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely correct. With the assessment suite, the idea is that our clients are able to get the information that they want. Some people are really focused on the competencies, others may be on the sales mindsets, sales excuse index, different things. But this really breaks down the sales competencies into more of a sales process, obviously, where we are breaking the sales process into pre-sales activities and the post-sales activities. And of course, each organization, they probably have their own sales process, but this is going to align very closely with, in terms of the core concept with all of them. So the pre-sales stage, we have 4 steps. We have the lead evaluation. We want to make sure we are pursuing opportunities that really are worthwhile. Initial contact, obviously a lot of that can be face-to-face in the past. Now it's more virtual. And then we have the actual meeting where we're having those conversations about trying to find out if there's a fit between what we have to offer and what the prospect's need is. And then we actually go to the closing stage where we are getting the deal. And then after that, of course, now we want to really expand the relationship with the client in the post stages where we are looking at the piloting, get the client to really have a good first experience with the report, then the maintenance and expansion stage where we are looking for new opportunities to really cultivate that relationship, make it wider and deeper.
Yeah, and as Marku has always said throughout the use of any of these reports, is that not all organizations and teams will focus on each of these steps equally. So what's great again is you can zero in on the specific steps of the sales process that you want to focus on.
Yeah, it's a great point. I was going to add to that is that like a lot of times when our clients are hiring salespeople, obviously they're looking more on the hiring reports. They want to understand what are the competency scores. But often when they get to that short list of the top candidates, they want to look at how do those competencies convert into actual success in the different stages of the sales process. And they often bring in the results from this report to really have a better understanding what the competency level that the salesperson or sales candidate has at this stage, how does it convert to the different stages of the sales process?
Exactly. So here we have what I always find very helpful in almost all the reports is the summary page. So it gives you kind of an overall picture. Can you talk a little bit about that, Marku?
Yes, and the idea here again is that there's no complicated way to understand this report. It's very simple. Higher the score, the better the person is at that stage of the sales process. So if we look at, I think our example here is Henry Hunter. When we look at the pre-stages where we look at the lead evaluation, initial contact, face-to-face, and closing, this individual gets a nice score of 15, which really means that when we look at those 18 competencies, they have 7 out of those 18 competencies that are strength in that closing stage. Some of them are small strengths and medium strength, and we only have one small risk and one we call a risk factor. So out of those 18 competencies, this individual, this salesperson at this current level of competencies that they have are going to do quite well on the closing stage. Now, if we all look at into things like maintenance, well, now the story is quite different. Score is -8. So I would say that this person really, for whatever reason, this is not where they are going to do well. They probably just lack the focus on wanting to really take that existing client and spend some time and really make sure we are taking care of sometimes those more of even routine or mundane support activities that are required to really get the customer, expand that relationship. So hopefully have somebody there to provide this individual some support. But if you look at that last one, expansion, where there's an opportunity to really make more sales, look for maybe new parts of the organization, new products or services that we have to offer and they are not yet using. And this salesperson is really going to do well in that area. So it allows the sales manager or sales coach to really kind of fine-tune their game plan on where do you want to focus, or if we need to develop some other areas, this clearly provides the template of what we need to do if certain stages of this sales process are very important for the overall success of this salesperson.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to what Marku was saying, if there are certain steps that are important, you can further take a look at the specific competences that could be a strength, but also, and then the ones that could be a risk, and really zero in on that if you want to develop this individual further. So this one here, Marku, I pulled out is specifically part of the sales process phase, and it's focusing in on the step, which is the initial contact. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, here we take those 18 competencies and we really dive a little bit deeper to understand where those strengths are, where those risks are, and there are a couple of other categories there in between. And we can see, for example, that in the initial contact, one of the challenges that this individual will have is controlling the sales process. If you look at the left column, there is a third one from the bottom, and their competency level on a 100% scale is only 38%. So in this initial contact stage of the sales process, that creates a risk. And then the report also will actually dive a little bit deeper in there. You see that at the bottom of the screen that really describes what this low controlling of sales process, what that risk actually means in practice. So now we can make a couple of things. We can make some decisions about this person in the hiring stage, or we can certainly use this to create a very specific development plan, either with the sales manager being the coach and the mentor and really holding the salesperson accountable for their ongoing development, or maybe we have the luxury of having a sales coach from outside to come and work with this salesperson, and we can be very specific in what we need to do to improve our overall performance. Again, assuming that this initial contact stage of the sales process is important.
Yeah, what I like about this, as Markku says, is if, this specific stage is important and, you really do want to develop this individual, and you now have a very, pinpointed competence that you can focus on, which is controlling the sales process, you can now go back to their development report or generate a development report. And in that development report, it has the action plan to help you develop this specific competence. So, it's not like saying, this is a risk, now go do something about it. It's saying, here's the next step that you can take. It's available and it's ready for you to use.
And one other thing we're seeing, Christina, is that when people are using this assessment, and actually when we look at the last slide a little while ago, when that individual was not very good at the maintenance stage. And sometimes, and by the way, they had a great scores on many of the other things, and really helps the sales manager to really think about, maybe the challenge is not the lack of competencies. Maybe we just need to make some changes in our structure and assigning different roles for different people, or maybe even bring in some support people. So maybe this maintenance area, while it would be nice to have, maybe it's not our best investment to really try to help this person develop in that area. Let's use their strengths in closing and in maintenance, in expansion, to really bring in more revenue, and let some other folks take care of those maintenance type of things, routine things that this person really does not have the competency right now. So sometimes people don't expect that, but the results reveal something. Hey, we perhaps were not looking at this problem from a right angle. Now we know what to do.
So speaking of maintenance, that was the other example that I wanted to have Markku talk a little bit about. So this one, definitely the person had scored an 18. So talk a little bit about this specific step.
Well, again, here we are taking those 18 competencies and really find out what the strengths and what the challenges are. We can then, if we want to develop the person in this stage, we know what to do. Or if we are looking at a short list of candidates, we are trying to figure out who should we hire. This is one important piece of information that helps to make that decision. So you are more confident in that you are making the right decision, because obviously making a wrong hiring decision is very expensive, very disruptive. And obviously we want to try to avoid that if any way possible.
Yeah, and time consuming. And if I know some of you out there are just like me, where we're constantly flipping back and forth between pages to get the information that we want. But what's great about these specific pages that focus on each step of the sales process is when it talks about expansion, it lays it out right there. It describes it in the paragraph before. And then that way you are able to kind of look at the competencies and think about how it relates specifically to that expansion. So for me personally, that's really helpful. It's very intuitive to do it that way.
Yeah, our clients, they don't need any training in using these reports. They may want to have a conversation or two that typically lasts 15, 20 minutes. And okay, I've got it. I know what how to use it. Maybe every now and then they want to have that conversation about some of the results, and maybe look at the results of two individuals side by side and kind of take a second look, have a sounding board, if you will, to go over those results. But the tool is very intuitive. It's been kind of surprising to see how little support our clients need with this. Happy to provide the support, but it's always the great thing when clients are just using it to their advantage and making better hiring decisions and continue to help their salespeople succeed, even in this new virtual sales environment that all of us are playing in right now.
So thank you, Markku. So if people are interested in this particular report or any of the SCA reports, what is the next step for them?
Simple, just contact us if you want to do a demo, if you want to see a sample report. whatever is the way you want to start explore to see if this may or may not be a fit for you. But if you want to make better hiring decisions, increase your sales, this might be something that could be worth a look. And then you can decide if it is, like I said, if it's a fit, if it's not, either way is fine, but try to learn some more. And of course, it's just that the contact information is there, our phone number, our email address, and of course, our website as well.
Yep, info@extendeddisk.org if you're interested in this report or any of the SCA reports. We do have a couple webinars. We have one coming up tomorrow that generated a lot of interest. It's called Tips for Delivering a DISC Leadership Workshop. Man, I really got to stop with these long titles, but we're just going to give you some just simple tips that help you make your DISC workshop for up and coming leaders or established leaders that much more effective. That's tomorrow at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. We also have a continuing part of our SCA series, and we're going to focus in on the development report, and that will be Tuesday, September 8th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yeah, a week from today, and we hope to see you tomorrow talking about the leadership workshop. And of course, always go to the extendeddisk.org website. On the right-hand top corner, there's an events tab. Click on there to see all of the upcoming webinars, and just be sure to register even if the date and time do not work for you, because if you do register, we will send you the link for the webinar so you can listen to it later or share with your colleagues, others who you think might find it beneficial.
All right, thank you, Markku. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, all the best.